It's time for the Trading Stocks Made Easy podcast. Each week, Trading Stocks Made Easy demystifies stock trading and investing so you can profit big. And now, here's the host of Trading Stocks Made Easy, the wealthy investor, Tyrone Jackson.
Hey everybody, it's Tyrone Jackson, the wealthy investor, and welcome back to Trading Stocks Made Easy. This is episode 237. And you know, today I decided to do something just a little different from what I've done before. I want to talk to you about case studies. These are case studies around my actual students who managed to get to the point where they were earning $35,000 a month using the Wealthy Investor System. And then when they hit that $35,000 a month, they either quit the program or claimed that it didn't work for them. Could you imagine? So one of the things I've learned about teaching and coaching over the last 15 years is that people have financial fears. It's not that they don't know how to write a covered call or sell a covered call or buy dividend-paying stocks and let those dividends hit your account every single month. It's that they become afraid of their wildest dreams coming true. So as you hear me talk about helping you financially to get to levels you can only imagine, I want you to think about your fears, what you're most afraid of. And before I get into these case studies, this is one of the things that fascinates me psychodynamically about wealth. A lot of people get wealth, right? And they get rid of it. You see this a lot with NBA basketball stars, with rock stars. They just do everything that they can unconsciously to get rid of that money as fast as they can. Because for many people, although wealth is a dream come true, right? It is way out of your emotional and psychic comfort zone. So as I'm talking to you in this episode and I'm sharing information with you, I want you to think about how this relates to you, your world, and your life. Because some of the fears that you carry inside of you may actually be the thing that's stopping you from having financial freedom. So, rule number one in this establishment is that we acknowledge that wealth for most people is outside of their comfort zone. Now, I want to give you my operational definition of what I mean by wealth. Wealth is having more money than you need to survive day to day to day. So technically, that means if you have an extra $10,000 in the bank, you have $10,000 worth of wealth. Why? Because that means that you are not just surviving, you have a cushion, something that makes you go, I'm okay for at least a month or two. If you have $50,000 to $100,000 in your retirement account, guess what? You actually have wealth. You have enough money so that you can look towards the future with some comfort. Are you with me? All right. So whatever you have that's excess, that's above and beyond what you need every single day, could be classified as wealth. That's why people say, well, if I wanted to start trading and investing in the stock market, how much money do I need? The answer is $500. $500 that you don't need today that can be invested in something that could be worth $5,000 2 to 5 years from now. Get it? All right. So here's what I did in the Wealthy Investor Program, because when you get to a certain level of success using the methodology that I teach, you qualify for private coaching, right? So, for example, the program is largely based in New York and Los Angeles. There are thousands of you who do it online, and I understand that. But for my students in the bigger markets where I actually reside, I get to know you. You get to the highest level of the program. If you need help or assistance managing your money or setting your goals or hitting an income target, I'll be there for you in that way. Now, one of the reasons I do private coaching sessions and I recognize their value is because it's one thing for me to teach you how to buy, let's say, Microsoft or Amazon shares and make money from it every 7 days, every 10 days, every 30 days. But something is always lost in the translation from me standing in front of you, teaching you how to place a trade, and then the kind of trades that you purchase, as I like to say, when you go home. Okay? There's something that happens in that process that I am not in control of that has caused me as a teacher and a coach to allow people to have private sessions so that I can discover for those people what gets lost in that translation. And a lot of what I have found was not the ability to keep track of your trades. It was fear. Could you imagine? Now, I also have the privilege of dealing with people who have what we would call a lot of money. What do I mean by a lot of money? 10 million, 15, 20, $25 million. And those people, when it comes to handling their own money and financial affairs, they also have fear, right? So it's interesting to see how fear blocks people from having their financial dreams come true. Now, I noticed within myself early on, I want you to know there's no holier than thou here, right? It's about me, case studies, and helping other people, that there are levels of wealth and financial freedom that I achieve for myself where I do have to stop and do a check-in with myself, okay? So the higher I go, even I have to do that inner work. I know what that feels like. I know what to look at to examine my beliefs because that affects my reality. So as much as I am the teacher, I also like to say I'm a student as well, right? Okay, so let me give you my two favorite case studies. These are real people. I'm going to change their names, obviously. And what I love about this particular story is that these are two men who did not know each other, who had almost similar amounts of money in their trading accounts and hit $35,000 a month at the same time. How did they get to that $35,000? They held some stocks. They let dividends do the work. They let appreciation in stocks do the work to push their accounts higher to get to the point where they now had $35,000 of passive income from the stock market month after month after month. And just as an aside, when I talk about the passive income, I'm talking about the cover call premium and maybe volatility trades that amount to $35,000 a month. So they both qualified for private coaching. And here's what makes this story and this case study my favorite. For reasons I can't explain, on the same month, they hit the $35,000 consistent income, trading mostly Dow and S&P stocks. So when we got into the second month of the next round of $35,000, that seemed to be where the problems start. Now, again, these are two people, one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast, did not know each other at all, right? And after the second month of generating $35,000, that means they both made, within 8 weeks, $75,000 of pure profit. They came up with reasons as to why it was time for them to leave the program. Now, my job is just to collect the data and information. So I had one guy on the West Coast who said to me, and I'll never forget this story, one of the reasons I am going to back out of the program is because I'm not sure if I am earning the $35,000 because of your help or if I am doing it on my own. So I want to take some time off to see if you're really helping me get this money or I'm capable of doing it on my own. Now, the natural response is, what difference does it make? In 10 months, you're going to make $350,000 in passive income. And unlike real estate, you never had to go to court. You didn't have to chase anybody for rent payments. And if you just continue the same exact system, you will have $350,000 to $400,000 a year for the rest of your life, provided that the market stays in the same range or higher. Pretty simple set of circumstances to recognize. So he decided he was going to leave. And for this person, they had gotten a rather large inheritance. They decided they'd learn how to handle their money. He was getting remarried. And so he wanted to leave, get this, to make sure that he was capable of doing this on his own. Which, of course, I said, hey, sure, and let me know if you want to come back. Now, that was curious. The other gentleman, 3,000 miles away, was told by his parents, because when you're working with someone to help them create wealth, you have to talk a little bit about their past, their behavior, their expectations. But his parents always told him, you'll never amount to anything as a creative artist. It's never going to happen. I didn't spend all that money on college for you to go out and do something creative. So good luck with your life. And his parents, in particular, the father, was really upset with him. And so when he got to his second month of $35,000, he got angry. He became an angrier and angrier person. And he says, here's the problem that is wrong in your program. And he had like 7 things he had found fault with. He created 7 problems with the Wealthy Investor Program in his mind that no longer made the program fit for him to attend. They were totally fabricated. Right? Now, this is after he had been making thousands of dollars, but when he got to that $35,000, he was just like, this is my last month and I'm leaving. So 2 months at $35,000, it's $70,000, right? Plus the money he had made in all the years building his account up to that. And so I said to him, this is interesting. I have another guy on the West Coast who's leaving for a different set of reasons, but do you think that this is something that you can continue on your own? He goes, I just need time to think, and that's why I'm out of here. Again, very, very angry. Now, those 2 students served as a foundation for how people respond when their life financially starts to hit a whole new level. I thought, isn't that interesting? 2 guys who don't know one another, who are in 2 different cities, 3,000 miles away, and they both leave on the same month. And what was amazing to me is when I have people start to hit $35,000, I don't know why it's $35,000 a month, gang, but that number seems to trigger most people where they start to have a reaction, they become angrier instead of happier, and they are ready to leave. So I let them both go, and I noticed throughout the years there's something about $35,000. Now let me talk to you about this $35,000, and you tell me if you see yourself in any of these fears. Now your normal reaction is go, I would have no problem with that. Yes, but you don't know until you get there, until you have that experience, right? Okay, $35,000 a month is about $400,000 spendable cash every single year. I want to remind you that the $400,000 in income, you don't get to keep all of that because although you made that money passively trading online inside your trading account, the government is going to want their share. So for easy math, I'm going to say the government gets 30% of the $400,000, right? Right. That $34,000 or $400,000 a year now puts you in 1% of the U.S. population that earns that kind of money. Did you know that only 1% of the U.S. population actually owns stocks directly? Well, of that 1%, how many of the 1% are able to generate $400,000 a year for themselves or more? You see, in the Wealthy Investor Program, you have the opportunity to really graduate to significant wealth in a very short period of time. Even if you had an additional $300,000 after you paid your taxes, what would you do with that? Well, the difference seems to be made in someone's sense of responsibility. So, for example, the person who nets $300,000 and they're single clearly has a different set of expectations and goals than the person who earns the $300,000 who has 3 kids about to go to college. If you have 3 kids who are about to go to college, that $300,000 is now their tuition. But if you have that $300,000 just left over for you, that's where sabotage sits in. Because a lot of people start to feel like, I don't deserve this. What am I going to do with this money? Why is this happening to me? And they have a kind of survivor's guilt, okay, over being able to make passive income that is solely for them, that is repeatable for the rest of their life. The person who has responsibilities is much more, in my world, willing to accept the $300,000 because it benefits their family, not just that person. So when your fears get triggered and you become uncomfortable about being financially comfortable, it is an inside job. It is something going on inside of you that says, I must accept or reject this good fortune. I also meet people on the opposite end of the spectrum, and they say, Tyrone, I want millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars, but they don't trade like it, right? Which means that we are out of alignment when I hear someone say that. That means their desire is not lined up with how they trade. And that's a very interesting experiment because all I have to do is show them how to generate millions of dollars. And will they then follow the system or will they come up with some system of their own that's flawed? And I say that person is not coachable. So how you feel about money, how you feel about wealth is really up to you. And that's why I say it's your feelings that are really determining how much money you make. Because if you step outside of your comfort zone and you're now generating $300,000 a year, you get to keep. If everyone else in your circle is not generating that same amount of money, you're going to feel like the odd person out. So in order to attract more money in your life, you need to get in the habit of being around people who have more money than you, more wealth than you, so you can feel like you are catching up with that group and you are a part of that group instead of being the exception to the rule in your current friendship circle. And that's the other reason why I say, in order to grow financially, you are going to need some new friends. People who are acquainted with having more than what they need so that you can grow up and become them. Because if you don't, you will sabotage yourself. Now, one other issue I want to bring up as it results to self-sabotaging. If you are married or in a long-term partner, you may be willing to graduate yourself to $300,000, $500,000, and your spouse is not. Then what do? Although you love your spouse, you may be sharing a bed with someone who is sabotaging your success and the success of the couple. You have to be willing to talk about change with your partner. You have to be willing to grow outside of your comfort zone. And the easiest way to get your partner to come along is to have a vision. What else would we like to have? Would we like to have a bigger house? Would we like to pay off our house? Would we like to have more investments? Would we like to have a boat? Sometimes focusing on some other external reality than what you're familiar with helps you break through. Right? So think about the ways in which you sabotage yourself, or you could sabotage yourself financially, because I can show you how to make a lot of money trading. But if you are not comfortable accepting the gift of a financial education, you will take it away from yourself. That's a fact. Back in a moment.
Want to increase your stock market trading profits? Then you need to start your monthly membership to WITradeschool.com right now. Don't understand how to write covered calls for monthly income? No problem. Simply review Tyrone's latest stock trades in our video library as many times as you need. WITradeschool.com is all about helping you get the financial education you need to earn money in the stock market and change your financial life. Tyrone Jackson, the wealthy investor, has helped his students earn thousands of dollars per month trading stocks online from home. These are people just like you. So what are you waiting for? Follow Tyrone Jackson's red-hot stock trades and investment strategies today. Don't wait. Start your monthly membership at WITradeschool.com right now.
Okay, today on Trading Stocks Made Easy, we're talking about your financial fears. Here's what's exciting about being in this market at this time. We're in a market right now in the middle of 2024 where tech stocks that are focused around artificial intelligence are doing really, really well. It's the new revenue stream. Tech stocks and AI is the new gold on Wall Street, if you will. All right, that means if we learn how to choose good dates, good stocks to park our money in and invest, Anybody listening to this show right now can have enormous sums of wealth, not necessarily because you invented that technology, but because you recognize that owning the shares in the companies that were profiting from that technology were worthwhile investments. So right now, you have the ability to change your life in a major, major way in the next 2 to 5 years. Now, we know companies like Amazon and Microsoft are going to be in on that trend. And if they're not developing the new technology, what are they going to do? They're going to buy the companies that are. As I like to say on Wall Street, if you can't beat them, buy them. All right. We make our money in the Wealthy Investor programs primarily from selling covered calls, which you know about. Now, here's what's fascinating about that. I can actually decide that in one trading account, I'm going to hold the shares of the companies that I think are going to benefit from AI. In my trading account, I'm going to trade those stocks as they rise. So, objective number one, I have an account where I'm holding shares, where I'm getting wealthier as those stock prices increase. I don't really do anything there but hold the shares. In my second account, which has another objective, guess what? I'm jumping in and out of those shares and making money on a weekly or monthly basis from them. And I'm taking the profit from those shares and I'm buying other companies that I think will benefit from technology in the long run. It's really pretty simple when you think about the whole system, but you just have to be clear-minded. And if you have covered calls as your primary trading source, you're going to do fine. Well, what am I seeing now? I shared with you before the commercial break what I've seen historically when people hit $35,000. What am I seeing now? I'm seeing the same exact thing. When most people hit $35,000 in this environment today, that's when all of the sabotage goes off. I was recently doing a private session with someone who's just extraordinary and lovely. She makes great financial choices. She helps people in her community and gets paid very, very well for it. She's humble and delightful. And she had her first $50,000 month last month. And I see no signs of sabotage other than she just can't believe she could do it again next month. The other pattern that I see right now is people being a little too conservative, which how can I fault them, right? Even though they have enough money in their account to make $35,000, they're very happy with $17,000. So I wind up coaching them through that. And what do I say? Hey, wealth is not just about you. It's about helping other people. You know, if you stopped and you left the $17,000 range and you graduated yourself to the $40,000 range, is there anybody else in your life you'd like to help right now? Let's stop and make a list of what you would do if you get there. What happens is that gets them to focus on other people instead of just them. And lo and behold, in a short period of time, they're at a different reality in terms of monthly income. So the key here to success is not always thinking about yourself, because once your needs are met, there is a tendency to say, I don't want to grow past that. Okay? And I love the stock market as a self-development tool because it is constantly pushing your buttons about what you believe to be capable, what you believe to be probable, and the immediate gratification that can come from being financially successful, not just in the future, but right now. And that's the residual income part. Okay? So what I'm going to do for the rest of the week is allow you to begin to think about ways in which you've sabotaged yourself financially. In other words, you've stopped good things from happening. And how did you do that? Did you decide you didn't want to move? You didn't want that job upgrade? It was too much responsibility to become a manager? What reasons did you give yourself for not moving forward? Because if you're listening to this show the way that most of you are every single week, you realize that there is an inside game when it comes to wealth. It's affecting your decision making and what you're trading in your account right now. Now, I want to say something to people who don't have a lot of money and have, let's say, $500 to get started. That $500 to open your Charles Schwab account or your E-Trade account is probably one of the most important things you will do this year. Why? Wealth is nothing but a series of positive habits. And if you keep putting $500 a month into your stock trading account in 10 months, you're going to have $5,000. You will have another way to state that. You will have $5,000 worth of wealth. If you continued for another 10 months after that and another 10 months after that, your money is going to grow because in those early stages of financing your account, you're learning how to make good choices as an investor. You may not be able to sell covered calls within the next 10 months, but that's okay because you're going to start getting dividends and you're going to start seeing the stocks that appreciate in your account as opposed to the ones that go down. Those first 10 months are really where your positive financial habits are formed. Your job, if you accept it, is to start purchasing stocks that are members of the Dow Jones Industrial Average and the S&P 500 right now, because that's going to help you establish positive financial habits. One little action of just opening an online trading account is a huge step forward. Now, if you ever have questions for me, you know you can join WI Trade School. I'll answer your questions as they come in every week. By the way, the questions have been so good. We call it our weekly Q&A. I also give you video updates every single month about the stocks that I've talked about in Trade School, and I update you on all of the trends. But here's the most important thing. No matter where you are financially, things are going to get bigger and better for you as long as you employ the wealthy investor approach. It is time to let go of limited thoughts, limited actions, and people who limit you in your life, because if you like listening to the show, clearly you are open so that you can be a multi-millionaire. It's using the same system over and over and over and over. I can't wait to hear from you. I can't wait to connect with you. I can't wait to see you in person at some point, whether it's in our live classes in New York, LA, or make that trip to Maui. We're about 8 weeks away, and it's always an exciting time for me and the staff. So, hey, listen, I wanted to say I thank you for listening always. Please take the next couple of days and think about sabotage and the role that it plays in your life. It's time to let those negative habits move along and give those negative ideas back to the universe. They're probably not yours to begin with. I'm Tyrone Jackson, the Wealthy Investor, saying I'll see you next week right here. Where? On the Trading Stocks Made Easy podcast.
You've been listening to the Trading Stocks Made Easy podcast. Be sure to rate and review our show on iTunes. While you're on iTunes, be sure to click the subscribe button and you'll automatically receive our next episode.